with manufacturing, mining, and farming. We all know from inspiration, history, and nature, we deserve a return to the success and growth of generations past, a birthright being squandered by corruption in Albany, and the depredations of an insecure, scheming mountebank posing as governor, who loathes both us and himself. As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome everyone to Radio Free New York. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a lovely fall day here in Western New York, and thank you everyone who's listening today. We're live on WYSL from noon to 1. If you are listening to the live show, I'd love to hear what you want to talk about today. What is on your mind? What other issues do you think need to be talked about before the upcoming election? And actually, I say before the election, but realistically, the election's now. Early voting's happening already. It's already taking place. So what other things do we need to cover related to the election? I do have two election-related topics today, though. There are more hearings on Capitol Hill related to the social media sphere, the tech giants. The CEOs of Twitter, Facebook, and Google were all called to Capitol Hill yesterday for more grilling by members of Congress. Ted Cruz got a lot of good sound bites in there. And good, I don't mean that I enjoyed them, but that was clearly the purpose, is he wanted to give a good finger wagging to Jack Dorsey for what he did. So let's talk about what spurred the latest thing, and then what government control might be coming down the pipe related to social media speech, really. And that's what really it comes down to, a speech issue. So we have left and right coming together, populist arguments against a thing called Section 230, and that's ostensibly what the hearing was about. It's this law called Section 230, which governs how platforms like Twitter and Facebook and Google are governed. It relates to laws around those. So we're going to talk about that today. But of course, if you have something else on your mind, give us a call, 585-346-3000. Again, that's 585-346-3000. I always appreciate your phone calls. We got some good calls last week related to coronavirus and other things. So thank you so much for calling in. And of course, thank you for listening online, whether you're listening on Facebook, on the Andrew C. Hollister page, the Radio Free New York page, or on YouTube. Any of those, comment on any of those, I get them all in one place. We'll talk about what's on your mind. So thank you. But let's go into what on earth is going on. What was the dog and pony show going on Capitol Hill right now, and what spurred it? So the discussion around Section 230 has kind of been going on for a little while. It's just to give you a broad overview of what it is. It's asking the question: do platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Google, others, to what extent are they responsible for the content that they allow on their platforms? And to what extent are they responsible for the type of content that their algorithms promote and basically allow you to see, right? So if you're using Facebook, you're not getting just a straight timeline of everything that every one of your friends is posting. You'll notice that some friends, you never see them. And it's not just that they unfriended you. You go and look, and they've been posting every day, but they don't show up in your timeline. And that's because Facebook algorithms say, okay, we're going to pick the stuff to show you that you seem to want to engage with, that you seem to find more interesting, the videos, the posts, the photos, the politically oriented content. All that is curated for you to make sure that you stay on the platform. And Twitter has something similar. It's a little bit different. Supposedly you're able to do, just a straight timeline of that. But even that, I don't see every tweet of every single person that I follow. It's just not there. So they curate this content. They show you certain things. So the other thing related to this too, though, is it's not just that. It's not the algorithms. Again, it's what is allowed to be posted on the platform. And if you're coming from the right, you're probably concerned about Twitter and Facebook, well, really mostly Twitter, shutting down that New York Post story about Hunter Biden. Right. So if you looked into any of this, there's a slew of accusations against Hunter Biden. New York Post put a bunch of this stuff out that was accusations of Hunter Biden using crack cocaine. Is that you've probably seen it by now? A picture of Hunter Biden with a crack pipe. The whole laptop thing. Basically, Twitter decided that was potentially a Russian interference thing. It was potentially something that was meant to distort the election. It's your kind of typical October surprise. And because it wasn't verified, they made the decision to shut down any information about that on that platform. All right. And now Twitter is a private company. They are a company that, you don't have to use their platform. They're a private company. They can do what they want. But that's the discussion, is that there's the accusation that the platforms like Facebook and Twitter and Google are so powerful that they are close enough to monopolies that they warrant government intervention when you're unable to see some of this stuff. So when they do something like that, people are talking about it as suppressing speech. And I'll just dive right into it. I think that's the wrong way to look at it, both legally and from a perspective of what do we want the government to be doing? What makes sense in these situations? And should the government be micromanaging the moderating decisions of these platforms? If you're coming at it from the left, the way they see it is that the right isn't being censored enough. The people like Nancy Pelosi, they think the government should get involved and we should reform, quote unquote, reform Section 230 in order for these platforms to be compelled to pull off what they deem as hate speech, misinformation, misdirection to voters about election information. They say that these platforms should be held liable for allowing this content on their sites. And so you have people like Josh Hawley on the right, Ted Cruz on the right, say that Section 230 should be reformed to make sure that these platforms cannot censor what they view as conservative opinion. And people on the left think that these platforms should be reformed to make sure that they must censor content that they deem as dangerous or misleading. And then there's the libertarian position, which is these are private companies. They can do what they want. If we don't like it, we can publicly criticize them. And I would say I think Twitter made the wrong decision with the Hunter Biden stuff. I actually think it became a bigger story because Twitter shut it down. Because now everyone's going around and they're looking at like, oh, what were they hiding? Are they trying to protect Joe Biden? What's happening? And now suddenly it feels like a conspiracy theory. I think they made the wrong move here. And I've said that before in other things. When Twitter and Facebook tries to shut stuff down, that's not like clear hate speech or a clear call to violence. I think it ends up making that story even bigger. And it's really a tactical mistake for them. And so we have these, again, bipartisan forces that are looking to regulate social media platforms, but looking to do so in opposite ways. But they may end up using ultimately the same mechanisms for doing so. Because ultimately what's going to happen if Section 230 protections go away is that whoever is the president, whatever party is in power, is going to try to control the speech that you see on Facebook, Twitter, Google, all that stuff. They're trying to micromanage what algorithms are able to show you. Because again, the critique of the left is that the algorithms promote what they call like hate-filled content. And the argument from the right is that they're doing just the opposite, that they're only promoting left-wing content. And honestly, I don't think either of that's true. And just to give you some background on my expertise in this is what I do for a living. Is I don't sit the back end stuff. I run ads on Facebook and Google. That's all I do all day. So I'm very familiar with how these platforms work, how to get your content seen, how to when it's a matter of algorithms not being in your favor, and when it's a matter of your content's just not engaging, and when it's a matter of Facebook just wants you to pony up money to make sure that your stuff is seen. And so I've seen how this stuff works on a technical level. And I think there's a wild misunderstanding. And if you watch just a few minutes of some of the congressional hearings, there's a wild misunderstanding of how these things work and whether or not the outcomes of greater government regulation would benefit you. And I think if you're looking at this and you're thinking, well, these government regulations would be good if our person is in power, then you're looking at that regulation wrong, because your party is not always going to be in power. You can't just think, all right, well, if President Trump's president for 4 years, this is going to be good. No, President Trump might not be president. Joe Biden might be president. Kamala Harris might be president. It might be the other person. So are you willing to give that type of power to the opposite party? And of course, I'm in neither of those parties, so I don't want anyone controlling speech on the internet. So when we come back, what we'll start talking about is what does Section 230 actually do, and what specific reforms are people calling for right now, and why is that maybe a bad idea? Thanks again for listening to Radio Free New York. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Escape from the everyday to a getaway at Woodcliff Hotel and Spa. Woodcliff features elegantly appointed accommodations, creative cuisine, themed suites, full-service spa Elan, and is Rochester's best venue for outdoor wedding receptions overlooking the city skyline. Woodcliff Hotel and Spa, where the experience is extraordinary. Located in Fairport, call 585-381-4000 or visit woodcliffhotelspa.com.
A reminder from Abate Monroe County. American bikers aim toward education. Distracted driving is dangerous, so pull over and eat. Don't try to read your mail and newspaper, and stay off your cell phone. Make a mental note to be more alert, making it a habit to expect the unexpected. Remember to look twice. Save a life. Train yourself to watch for motorcycles which are harder to see. Join Abate, and your family will be protected with a free $4,000 accident policy. Ride safe. Ride free. Ride often. Abate. If you ride with us. Google Abate Monroe County.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
Welcome back to Radio Free New York. Thanks again for joining us on this lovely fall day. And again, if you'd like to participate in this conversation, give me a call, 585-346-3000. If you have thoughts on Twitter, on Facebook, if you if you think that they should be regulated, you think I'm totally wrong here, give me a call. Or if you want to call out, I'm probably not going to cover all the ridiculousness that took place on Capitol Hill, but I'd love to hear from you. And speaking of which, it sounds like we do have a caller, John from Rochester. John, what's on your mind?
Hey, Kevin, how you doing? Listen, your topic is very timely, and I'll tell you, this media corruption is beyond belief. I just can't believe that they call themselves journalists in a lot of cases. And that goes to at least ABC, NBC, the typical networks. At least they pay for themselves. But we've got NPR out there that gets, I think, significant federal dollars to keep that station, that network going. And I resent that. I really do. But this New York Post, for the media to ignore the New York Post article on the Biden corruption, that's unconscionable. It's unbelievable. I think NPR actually made a public statement that said that there's no good evidence that this corruption occurred, and they're not going to cover it at all. And I think the other networks have taken the same kind of posture. To me, it's just unbelievable. And I would submit this. I would ask, as a citizen, maybe I will, to stop funding NPR.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, NPR, John, you're absolutely correct. That is a government-funded news agency, and they like to bill themselves as neutral, and objectively, no, they're not. They're not neutral in many senses, and in this sense, you're also correct that they said that they wouldn't waste their time with this, that they would not look into the Hunter Biden stuff at all. And to be frank, I haven't done a show on it because I'm been trying to sort through everything that is in there, because it's a lot of stuff. There's accusations of, there's the photos of Hunter Biden smoking crack, and that's not an exaggeration. He has like a crack pipe in his mouth. That's what it looks like. There's accusations of corruption related to Ukraine, related to China, related to potentially child trafficking too. And again, I haven't been able to sort through that effectively enough to know which of that is real and which of it's not. But again, supposedly, for those of you who aren't familiar with the story, it's supposedly Hunter Biden had left his laptop with someone and never ended up picking it up. Ended up looking through the laptop, looking through the emails, looking through all the stuff. Tried to send copies to the FBI. FBI apparently, the FBI didn't do anything with that. Kept some copies to himself. Sent them out to Rudy Giuliani, and then boom, October surprise.
Did you see the interview with Bobulinski, the fellow who was the CEO of that enterprise they had with China? I think it was on Fox. Tucker Carlson did an hour interview. I didn't see the whole thing, but I saw excerpts of it. Did you see that at all? It was really telling.
Was that the stuff going on, was it last night or a couple days ago?
I think it was 2 nights ago when he had the interview. It was an hour interview. I saw parts of it, and then he rehashed it a little bit yesterday. But that was just unbelievable. The guy was very creditable, and I would think you would think the newspapers and the media would report this because they get a lot of viewership.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, to me, I think there's enough there that it's worth asking the questions about it. I think people want to get it right. I thought it was a little bit strange that NPR, like, shortly after this came out, just outright dismissed it. They just said, no, we're not going to look into it. So that I found strange. And John, I think you did too.
As and the other thing is they talk about, I'm a Trump supporter, and I'm a conservative. And I mean, before Trump, this has been going on. Basically, the media, 90% of the media, they're the mouthpiece for the Democratic Party, and of course that would include NPR and the left. And this is like this is the last straw. This latest episode, but there was a study done, Kevin, about a year and a half ago by Harvard University, which said that Trump gets the stories reported on Trump, 92% are negative. The stories reported on Obama were 46% negative, which is an unbelievable difference. And I would submit now the stories on Trump are probably 95 to 98% negative. I get the Buffalo News and I get the Rochester Democrat and Chronicle. And, of course, the Rochester Democrat and Chronicle, they've got as their sources on a national story USA Today, which is really to the left. And the local reporters for Democrat and Chronicle are also to the left. And then Buffalo News has New York Times and Washington Post, which are way to the left. Although their local reporters are a little less leftist than the Democrat and Chronicle reporters. It's really coming to a head here, and I think your program today is very timely.
Yeah, I mean, and again, we're combining a bunch of different thoughts here. We have like the national media stuff, and then we have like how do people consume news today, right? People consume news through Facebook, through Twitter, by looking up stuff on Google, and then like what stuff are you able to see with that? So that's the conversation that like we need to have. And then again, how much should the government intervene to make sure that there's a fair and balanced presentation of that? And here's the expectation that I come with that, and I'll let you. I want to see what you think of it, because I don't expect news to be unbiased. I think it's always nonsense to expect news to present things objectively, because they're not going to. And I think it was always kind of a myth that news is going to present stuff objectively. Everyone's coming at something with their own point of view. And if I go into reading a DNC article or a city newspaper article or an ABC TV segment or a Fox News segment, I know what perspective they're coming from. And I run that through, kind of my internal filter. I'm like, okay, this is what they're going to tell me. This is what they're going to leave out. This is how they're going to spin the issue. If I can do that, if people had the media literacy to do that, I think we'd be in a better position as a country. Just frankly, I'm lowering my expectations of what news means.
Well, I had lowered mine, but this is the last straw. In fact, the local NPR station, one of the shows that I used to call in over a long period of time, won't even take my calls anymore.
Oh, they won't?
They won't take my calls anymore.
One of the midday talk shows?
Yeah.
But, yeah. No, I'm familiar. I've been on that one a few times. And
in fact, I've heard you.
Yeah, no, great.
They started out by just banning me. I used to talk about the fallacies of man-made climate change, in that there was a lot of evidence out there that which would be contrary to man-made climate change, and I made the argument based upon what I've read and experts that the sun has a lot to do with the climate change, and not necessarily man, etc. And anyways, they stopped. They said, you can call on any topic, but we're not going to let you call in anymore on man-made climate change. And then I got banned completely when I was sticking up for Trump, and they said, we don't want to waste our time anymore to talk to you. Basically, that was the long and short of it. So
yeah, I don't know anything about that. I always try to welcome everyone, on the show, unless you're going to come on and shout profanities and whatever. We can't have that here. But other than that, I try to welcome the conversation. As long as you're here to have good conversation with us, even when I disagree, I'm happy to have it. And so, yeah, John, thanks again for calling in. I really appreciate that. And, we've almost taken up the whole segment here with that.
And I gotta tell you, Kevin, do I sound like a guy out of control? Not at all. I'm very polite. I'm very cohesive, and I'm not vulgar.
Yeah, no, you've made your points well, and I appreciate that. And I think, yeah, the discussion about should the government be funding media stations like NPR and are news stations hiding information from them? Yeah, I mean, the answer is yes. Yeah, we need to keep bringing that up. So, John, thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you.
Folks, we're going to be back here on Radio Free New York in just a few minutes. Talk to you soon.
Listening to the voice of liberty. AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 W221CL Rochester, FM 95.5 W238DE Spencerport.
Whatever worries you the most, be it aliens, zombies, or activists, a sun charger could save your butt in an emergency. From short outages to apocalyptic global catastrophes, a Soul Mini Sun Charger gives you the edge to survive and thrive with essential power you'll need to get through. Turn your Mini Sun Charger into a survival kit today. Just order the Mini Sun Charger or the 2-battery Mini Sun Charger Pro and get a treat on us. For October only, we'll include a AA and AAA battery charger and string lights, because even in your nuclear bunker, it's nice to have a little mood lighting. Soul Green Energy offers this incredible upgrade to create your Soul Survivor kit to keep you connected and able to power through any crisis. With all 2020's brought, who knows what's coming? One thing you can be sure about is an offer this good can only last till October 31st. So treat yourself to some new gear at soulgreenenergy.com. SOLgreenenergy.com.
Hi, Tom Hamilton here, President of Hamilton Wealth Management. Both the stock and bond markets have had quite a nice run since the 2008-2009 market crash. We sure don't want to give it all back again. Today, I think we need a different approach to investing in wealth preservation. Hamilton Wealth Management is an independent investment and wealth management firm located in Pittsford, New York. Our clients are successful individuals, retirees, and business owners who don't want to lose what they've worked so hard to save. If you have at least $250,000 in savings and investments, I'd like a few minutes of your time to show you what we're doing differently at Hamilton Wealth Management. So please call our office or visit our website, hamiltonwealthmanagement.com.
To meet with Mr. Hamilton, call 585-381-9870 or go to hamiltonwealthmanagement.com. That's hamiltonwealthmanagement.com. Advisory services offered through Wealth Plan Partners. Securities offered through Securities America, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Hamilton Wealth Management.
Businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations. Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
There's a place in the village of Avon you and your critters will love. Whether they're big or small, whether they've got hair, fur, or feathers, Avon Feed fits every need. There's a full selection of pet foods for dogs and cats, bird feeders, suet, and dry shot boots and garden shoes. They've got grass and clover seed too. Check out our frequent flyer birdseed program. Buy 10 bags of birdseed, get the next bag free. Choose farm feeds and great equine products like Blue Seal and Neutrina, plus Poland drains. Everything for your pet, from feeding bowls to toys, leads, collars, and tie-outs. Avon Feed and Supply has what the big pet chain stores will never have. Tim Cole and his great knowledgeable staff. And if you think you'll save money at that pet superstore, well, think again. While you're at Avon Feed, don't forget the two-legged pets with River Rat Thousand Island cheese and great flavors, including hard-to-find mean and nasty, plus Once Again nut butters, Nunday mustards, Dan's garlic, and Rickles pickles. Open weekdays 9 to 6, Saturday 9 to 4. Avon Feed and Supply, West Main Street at the bottom of the hill, just west of the Circle.
Taylor Laboratories.
Hey, Tony, what you doing?
A little experiment, Zach. Look what I have under the microscope.
Ugh, what's that?
A sample of indoor air.
How can it be that dirty? Don't AC and furnace filters help?
Only with dust, Zach. But when Taylor installs a whole house APCO air purifier to detox the air, odors, chemicals, mold, bacteria, and viruses are removed.
For clean indoor air.
Yep. Ain't science awesome?
Taylor, 500 help.
Relax, refresh, reward yourself this fall with St. Pius Federal Credit Union. Treat yourself to great rates on an auto or home improvement loan. Whether you need a more reliable car for winter, start that basement family theater project you've been dreaming of, or build out that new outdoor hot tub, our team is ready to help you with all your financial needs. That's the St. Pius Federal Credit Union difference and promise. Let us show you how easy coming home can be at spxfcu.org. St. Pius Federal Credit Union.org.
Radio Free New York.
Welcome back to Radio Free New York. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're here live in WYSL from noon to 1 on this Thursday, unless you're listening to a rebroadcast. But give us a call, 585-346-3000. And thanks again, John, for calling in last segment to have a discussion about, the media and the potential cover-up to Hunter Biden story. Again, I'm not ignoring it, folks. I want to make sure I get it right. And I'll reiterate the point I made last segment, too, that I don't expect my media to be unbiased. I always thought that was nonsense. The media is going to filter. So there's a concept called the news hole, which is like literally you can only talk about so much stuff. And news companies are going to talk about the stuff that they feel is important to them. And so even if they try to present themselves as unbiased, they're not. Some are better at it than others. Some are going to be more objective than others. But you can't possibly fit all the news in there. And so they're going to present the stuff that reinforces the narratives that they think are important. Not saying everyone's lying to you. And again, I come at that with a biased perspective too. I've been pretty upfront about how I approach the world and how I view the state. So you're listening to a show, you kind of know how I'm coming at it. That doesn't mean I'm going to lie to you. It just means that I'm coming at this with a certain perspective, and I imagine that's why many of you are listening to this. You're looking for my analysis or Andrew's analysis or any of our guest hosts' analysis on what is going on in the world. You know what it is. So if you're listening, you're calling in, you know that's I'm coming at this from being very, very critical of the government, and you're listening to a station that you have many other people who are like that too. So, and I do, of course, want to give a shout-out to our friends down the line as well, WAZK out in Newark and WENY, the Patriot, down in the southern tier. If you're listening on those stations, thanks again for being here. Thanks again. If you want to participate in the discussion afterwards, I do get your emails. Contact@radiofreenewyork.com is how you can reach me. And again, contact@radiofreenewyork.com. New York is all spelled out, not contact@radiofreeny.com. It's contact@radiofreenewyork.com, all spelled out. So we're talking about Section 230 today again, and we're talking about the hearings that are taking place on Capitol Hill. Senator Cruz had a nice quote related to that. He said to Jack Dorsey, who's the CEO of Twitter, he said, "Who the heck elected you and put you in charge of what the media are allowed to report and what the American people are allowed to hear? Why do you persist in behaving as a Democratic super PAC, silencing views to the contrary of your political beliefs?" Again, he's accusing Twitter specifically of censoring content that people, ought to hear. And kind of as I was talking about in the last segment, it's the way people consume news nowadays. Most people are getting their news, for better or worse, off of Facebook and Twitter. That's how a lot of it is. We of course love you listening to the station, and hearing the news that way. But like, it's just a matter of fact that a lot of people are scrolling their phones, they're looking at, and that's how they see the world, is based on what Facebook and Twitter present to them. Now, again, you have folks like Josh Hawley, who's calling for greater regulation. I've seen folks on the right call for no kidding nationalization of Twitter in response to this. And on the left, you're getting the Elizabeth Warren types who are calling for you to the government to break up the monopoly of Facebook and Twitter. And actually, I've done other shows on this in the past, both for Radio Free New York and on other programs as well, where I've talked about the Facebook, Twitter, Google. They're not monopolies. They're not. It ain't a monopoly. You can go elsewhere for your social media needs and especially your search needs. When anyone tells me that Google is a monopoly, they are not serious. They're not a serious person. You have so many other alternatives than Google. They don't own the search market. Now, they have a lot of the search market because, well, frankly, Google works better in a lot of cases. But, you can go to Bing, you can go to Yahoo Search, you can go to DuckDuckGo, which is great. I like DuckDuckGo. They have, they don't collect as much data on you when you search. They don't keep that search history as much. So that's their bit. But the point is there are other search engines out there. There are other people who do that stuff. There are other email services. There are other social media services. It is not, in fact, just Facebook and Twitter. Facebook's the only one that kind of looks like that. There used to be MySpace long ago, but there were conversations happening in like 2006, 2007, talking about how MySpace was a natural monopoly. And should the government regulate MySpace to make sure that it is fair and equitable social media environment? Could you imagine that if we got locked into MySpace the way it was? We didn't allow the market to innovate and present better solutions. Facebook, I'm sorry, is objectively better than what MySpace was. I like it better. Now, is there something else out there that could be better than Facebook? Goodness, I hope so. I would love to see that. But if we start regulating Facebook and Twitter and locking companies into this particular model of social media interaction, we will never be able to see what other possibilities can emerge. It won't happen. It'll become so expensive, so cost prohibitive to get up and get your company running when you have to prove to the government that you are checking every single box, that those possibilities will never emerge in the first place. That is one of the biggest dangers of government regulation, is that big companies can afford the compliance. Small companies can't. They never get off the ground. That's the difficult part. That's the possibility that we lose, the cost that is unseen in government regulation across all industries, but specifically to the emergence of the emergence of my battery's dying. the emergence of new social media outlets. So here, let me take a moment to explain briefly what Section 230 actually does. So Section 230 kind of treats social media platforms, well, really not social media platforms, but really everything across the internet space as platforms, not publishers. And so that means that these companies, the websites, again, any website where you have user-generated content, which could include a comment section on even your own website, that these companies are not responsible for the content that is on there, right? So if someone is being a jerk or being libelous or doing whatever, as long as it's not criminal, like you can't, sell heroin, or you can't sell, you can't do human trafficking or anything like that. As long as it's not criminal, they're protected from some liability of the stuff that users put out there. So Facebook is not liable for stuff that you post on there, for the most part. They have some obligations if someone is promoting criminal activity. That's why the whole Silk Road thing kind of was a big deal. Ross Ulbricht went to jail because he helped design a platform that facilitated the sale of drugs and other illicit services. But with Section 230, again, what it does is it just says there's some liability protection. And there's this myth that says, well, if they start moderating content, then they're a publisher now. And a publisher is someone like local newspapers like Democrat and Chronicle or Gannett newspapers or whatever, right? Like, so someone who's like putting out stuff on their own. And that's treated a bit different than what Facebook does, which doesn't necessarily always put out their own stuff. They're responsible for the stuff that they put out on their own, but they're not responsible for the user-generated content created using their tools. So it's different. Like, I'm closer to, if I'm writing a blog, I'm a publisher. If I'm posting something on Facebook, Facebook is not that publisher. I am. And the argument goes that if Facebook starts, or Twitter or whoever starts saying, well, this content's going to get shown, this content's going to be shown less, and this content is going to be removed from the platform altogether, because Facebook does remove things like hate speech from their platform. And again, we've done other shows on that and whether or not they should. But the point is that Facebook isn't responsible for that stuff. Sorry. Yeah, we're going to head to a break real quick. Thanks again for joining us here on Radio Free New York. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Talk to you soon.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
If you're looking to market and grow your business, make new business connections, and give back to the community in a meaningful way, consider joining the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce. We're the largest suburban chamber in Monroe County, and we offer networking, education, marketing, insurance, and advocacy. You do not need to live or work in Greece to join. Our members come from throughout the region. In short, we're better together, and together, we're moving business forward. Visit greecechamber.org or call 585-227-7272 to join today.
A reminder from Abate Monroe County. American bikers aim toward education. Distracted driving is dangerous, so pull over and eat. Don't try to read your mail and newspaper, and stay off your cell phone. Make a mental note to be more alert, making it a habit to expect the unexpected. Remember to look twice, save a life. Train yourself to watch for motorcycles which are harder to see. Join Abate, and your family will be protected with a free $4,000 accident policy. Ride safe, ride free, ride often. Abate. If you ride with us. Google Abate Monroe County.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Radio Free New York.
Welcome back to Radio Free New York. Thank you so much for joining us today. And again, we're live until 1 o'clock. This is the last segment of the show. Give us a call, 585-346-3000. Let us know what you think. Should the government be regulating social media platforms more? Should we get rid of Section 230? And I apologize for a little bit of a silence in the last segment. My laptop started dying, so apologize for that. Had to go to break quickly. So thank you so much for being here today, though. And we're talking Section 230. And we're going over some of the myths and what it does and doesn't do. Again, Section 230, people can kind of call it like, it's like the First Amendment of the internet. It makes it easier for not merely the big tech platforms, the Facebooks, the Twitters, the Googles, whatever. It makes it easier for not only for them to survive, but every website. Because like if you're hosting a website and you know, you have like your blog and there's comments on it, you don't want to be liable for someone putting something as a comment in your blog because it's hosted on your website that they're advocating, you know, either hate speech or they're advocating, you know, whatever, you know, they're putting out libelous stuff. You don't want to be liable for that either. So Section 230 not only kind of makes it possible for social media companies to exist, it also makes it possible for kind of smaller platforms to exist as well. Anything where you're having community-created content, user-generated content. And the alternatives that are being proposed to that are going to be really expensive. Because again, what the left wants to do is they want to you know, they'll say we want to modernize Section 230, and they want to make it so that if someone is promoting voter misinformation on their platform, the platform itself would be liable for what people are putting out. And again, that would require significantly more moderators, lawyers to look at, you know, where these companies have to draw the line. It requires what they're asking for too is any content that, you know, might even be close to promoting something. They want to force them to give over information more readily, stuff like that, even without a warrant. There's proposals to do regulation of what type of content is promoted, because again, what the left is accusing companies like Google and, you know, YouTube, which is owned by Google, of doing is promoting right-wing content, conspiracy content, stuff like that. And they're saying, well, we need to regulate it so that that type of content doesn't show up. So we'd have either, you know, Democrat government micromanaging stuff, or a Republican government who wants their different type of micromanagement. Because what they're saying is that, well, if Section 230 is allowing these platforms to have user-generated content, well, then they have to be neutral. They can't censor any of it. Well, that's not true either. They can remove stuff that makes the platform better to use in their minds for all the other users. If you have your personal Facebook page and someone is constantly harassing you and being rude and, you know, sometimes even, you know, threatening, yeah, absolutely. Like, the platform itself has the ability to kick that person off the platform altogether. You could also block them too. That's something you can do. But the platform says, okay, you're consistently abusing your ability to do this stuff. We're going to take you out. Now, they go too far with this stuff. They absolutely do. For goodness sakes, the host of this show, Andrew Hollister, was kicked off of Facebook for who knows what reason. That type of stuff, I don't like it. But what I worry about even more is the government getting their hands in there. Because again, if the Democrats have more control here, people like Andrew probably would have been kicked off sooner. People like me, I might get kicked off too. I don't exactly toe the Democratic Party line. You would see a lot more censorship. That's exactly what they're calling for. They're calling for more censorship of the stuff that you can see on these platforms. And the folks on the right, again, they're calling for, you know, sometimes nationalization or at least heavy regulation of these platforms to do no moderation. But I don't think we'd want that either. We don't want heavy regulation of these industries because putting them in the hands of partisans is dangerous, because they are going to use that to shape the narrative to their own ends. It's incredibly dangerous to do that. We don't want the government to be in control of the information that we're able to see. We don't want the government to be in control of Facebook or Twitter or Google's algorithms. And in fact, if they did do that, it would be interesting to see what social media platforms pop up and try to circumvent those regulations. And I'm sure there are people actively thinking about that right now. But this is something that applies to everyone. I think Section 230 is good. I don't like the Josh Hawleys or the Elizabeth Warrens or the Ted Cruzes trying to shut all this down. I think we need to keep it in place. I think it's an imperfect system that's better. And if we don't like what Facebook is doing, there are alternatives out there. There are already alternatives popping up to Facebook, and it would be interesting to see if those take off and they provide a better experience for most people to be able to use. Because you don't have to use Facebook. No one's making you use Facebook. And I don't like it when Facebook or Twitter shuts down stuff, or I think some of their fact-checking stuff gets a bit ridiculous at times, and isn't always done in good faith. I'm not sure that they always do it in good faith. I don't like that. But again, the alternative of government regulation is far worse than what that is. And it doesn't protect the companies completely too. Section 230, you're still, again, liable for doing stuff that is illegal. You can't promote that illegal stuff on there. But it is the best compromise that we could get. All right. So I did say I want to cover one more topic in here. And I mentioned that. I think I've got my Section 230 stuff out. Y'all get it. I don't like it. Here's why it's bad. But I did want to talk about, it's election week. It's time to vote. There are a few more days of early voting. If you're listening in New York State, you're able to vote today, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. There's no early voting, and then Tuesday is election day. Of course, you can go to your normal polling place. So look up your county board of elections. They should have information on all that. And what I want to tell you is, again, is just when you're going in, when you're looking at the ballot, there's going to be rows, A through G now, if you're in New York State. So Republicans, Democrats, Conservative, Working Family, Green, Libertarian, Independence Party. Go in there and go in there informed. I'm just that this is my call to you. I try to bring truth and nuance to the discussion around politics here on Radio Free New York. When you're going in and you're looking at the ballot, you can look up your ballot early, understand what candidates are on the ballot, understand what they stand for. There's a ton of resources. There's the I Side With, there's Vote 4-in-1, there's all sorts of stuff. You can look up what do the candidates actually stand for and figure out if they're a good fit. Are they going to advance liberty? Are they going to grow government? Are they going to shrink government? Are they going to protect your rights when you elect them to office? So go in there, be informed. Don't just check the party line, because that can get us in trouble. If you don't know, if you're going to vote for someone who may take away our rights, if you're like, I don't really need to research that judge candidate. Yes, you do. Before you vote for anyone, research them. And if you don't know, again, I encourage you to do your research before, but maybe just leave that line blank if you don't understand what you're voting for. Just please vote informed. I think that we will have a better, stronger republic if you do your research before you vote. You have the time still, and that's my call to you. That's my preachy PSA for the end of the week. So we're about out of time. So I'm not going to be in tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to have Larry Sharp in once again. He is going to be guest hosting for the day. But yeah, again, make sure you go out and vote. You have a few more days left to do it, but make sure you vote intelligently. I'm not saying go out and vote for anyone. It doesn't matter who you vote for, because of course it matters who you vote for. Vote for someone who's going to represent you well, protect your rights, limit government, protect liberty. Thanks again for joining us here on Radio Free New York. Appreciate you being here. We'll be back next week, and you can listen tomorrow again. Guest host Larry Sharp. Talk to you soon.
What does it mean to bank locally with Tompkins? It means keeping your money in your community with a team of neighbors to guide you through big decisions and milestones, plus all the convenience of our mobile app, where you can manage your account, deposit checks remotely, send money to family and friends, Even turn your card off if it gets misplaced, then back on when you find it. Ready to bank locally with the team at Tompkins? Visit Tompkins Bank of Castile online or at a branch to get started. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
The historic family furniture building has been totally remodeled. The savings are historic too. Get $50 off purchases of $4.99, $100 off $9.99, and $350 off $34.99. Amazing discounts on